Brazil has a new president, obviously, Lula Da Silva, and he made some waves in 2022. He made some waves by saying that Volodymyr Zelensky is as responsible as Putin and Joe Biden for the Ukraine war. That Zelensky and Biden were to blame, and he said it to the German Chancellor Olaf Scholz, and who made a bullshit terrible peace deal that wasn't even a peace deal. Um, so Brazil's president said, "Well, hey guys, I got a plan to end this damn war." That's what he said. Now he's kind of gone back a little bit, and I think I know why. I think the reason why is he understands that the CIA will off him, and he's got to appease a bunch of pro-war, psychopathic, schizophrenic, imperialist maniacs all over the world, and he's got to be careful not to be too me. Right? I can say these things because I'm not in power, but the CIA uses your tax dollars to go and off people. That's what they do. So I found this conversation with Jimmy Dore, one of his guests, and I really wanted to share this because this guy makes a good point.
So speaking of the Iraq wars, Lula recently, he's the new elected president of Brazil, and he beat what they called Brazil's Trump, Bolsonaro. And back in 2022, Lula said Zelensky and Biden share the blame for Putin's war on Ukraine. He said both of them do.
Now, he's right about that. He's absolutely right about it. Joe Biden started this coup in 2014, came in as president, started this war. We already know.
So now he's starting to change his tune a little bit.
Oh, could it be he could be off town? Maybe.
Yeah. So President Zelensky, this is from March 2nd. President Zelensky spoke with Brazilian President Lula Da Silva on a call about Ukraine's peace plan on diplomatic strategies to end Russian aggression. Zelensky thanked Lula for backing Ukraine's UN resolution on peace and territorial integrity.
Oh, boy.
Oh, boy. So here, Brazil, Lula tells Zelensky he wants to help with Ukraine peace. So what Lula originally was going to stay neutral, blame both people, and let's get to peace as fast as possible. But now he's getting a lot. I'm sure he's getting a ton of pressure. And so Brazilian President Luiz Da Silva on Thursday renewed the proposal for his country to take part in international mediation concerning Ukraine during a call with Zelensky. I have just had a video meeting with the president of Ukraine. I reaffirmed Brazil's desire to speak with other countries and participate in whatever initiatives around the construction of peace and dialogue, he posted on Twitter. We cannot be of interest to anyone. So that's positive. That's all him not taking sides. Let's just get to peace.
Which is something that we all want. Whether you're Republican, you're Democrat, you're Republican, you're Green, you're Libertarian, you're Independent, you're whatever. The one thing that everybody wants is peace. You and I do. But the people in government, the goons and the fucking monsters in government, all they want is war. All they want is psychological warfare, and they want a physical warfare. Why? Because it divides you and I, and they just want economic hegemony, as he's going to talk about, and they just want to control everything. And the way to do it is by starting a bunch of nuclear wars at once and getting everybody to be scared and afraid and to side with one person. Don't side with one person, side with peace. That's the best way to go.
Zelensky confirmed the phone call and thanked Brazil for supporting a UN resolution on February 24th that demanded Russia immediately and unconditionally withdraw its troops from Ukraine. We highlighted importance of upholding the principle of sovereignty and territorial integrity of states, Zelensky said. We also discussed diplomatic efforts to bring peace back to Ukraine and the world. The conversation between the two presidents came a day after Brazil's foreign minister, Mauro Vieira, met with Russia's counterpart, Sergei Lavrov, during the G20 meeting on foreign ministers in New Delhi. Well,
now remember, Zelensky is the one that didn't want peace. Okay, and they threatened his life, yeah. But again, like I made the point with our friend Naima Belhawa, last year in April. Wow, can't believe that was last year. At this time last year, I was shut off from YouTube. I couldn't post, but on this channel. But he didn't want peace. They offered him peace. He didn't want it.
While many Western countries have sent weapons or weapons to Ukraine to help it defend itself against Russian aggression or aggression, and even more have imposed sanctions on Moscow, Lula has ruled out sending arms to Kiev. So that's great.
Yeah, because
And
everyone else is sending weapons because that's what makes the war end. No, if you keep sending weapons, like we've talked about on this channel, they're just going to get caught by the Russians, destroyed by the Russians, or used by the Russians.
instead, he created a group of countries seeking to produce a negotiated peace deal. The Brazilian presidency, in a statement Thursday, reiterated that Brazil defends the territorial integrity of Ukraine. That's not good, but also wishes to gather a group of nations capable of talking with both sides of the conflict to promote peace. Lula first made his proposal public during a conversation with German Chancellor Olaf Scholz in Brazil on January 30th. He also presented his idea to the United States President Joe Biden and France's Emmanuel Macron. Russia's Deputy Foreign Minister Mikhail Galuzin said last week that Moscow was studying the proposal. Last year, Lula came under fire for claiming that Zelensky was as responsible for the war as Putin. So that's the end of that. Let me bring.
So, of course he said it, and of course he's right. Of course he was under public pressure. Of course everyone was like, oh my God, how could you say that? Because he was going against the narrative. If you go against the narrative of what the empire wants, the empire is going to come after you, including its supporters, its goons, who don't know how to use a brain from their goddamn brain cells they must have not gotten when they were made and conceived by their parents.
Bring in Jose. What do you say to that? I certainly Lula is trying to thread a needle here, right? So
Yeah,
he's
is.
trying to get to peace, but he has to work with these other maniacs who are pro-war. So that's what it looks like to me. It looks like he's trying to thread a needle and not get himself like kicked out of the meetings, right? He's trying to be a force for peace as much as he can without, getting offed by the CIA. What do you
That's
say?
right. Absolutely.
I say, look, I support Lula's call for peace and his initiative to get to that. I think not only him, but also we've seen this from Xi Jinping, where they put out like a 12-point proposal on how to end the war in Ukraine and Russia. All of these leaders do need to be supported in their efforts for peace, but I think what really matters is the responsibility of the citizen, right? Because if we aren't putting pressure on the United States to actually say, work with Lula, work with Xi Jinping on getting rid of this war, on trying to get peace and diplomatic talks, well, then we're only making Lula and Xi Jinping's job harder, right? We are the ones who need to increase the pressure on American politicians so that they actually bend to our will. And I'm not saying it's an easy thing to do. It's not. But look at the effect that my interventions have had with my friends, right? It's only about a handful, I'd say under 20, but they've gone international. Look, the original AOC intervention that my friend Kynan and I did back in October, I've seen it dubbed in Spanish. I've seen it translated and subtitled in Russian, in Chinese, in German, right? Like, obviously these things, and the Hakeem Jeffries one, same thing. It was translated and subtitled into Chinese, and it had like 16 million views over in whatever their social media platform is, like WeChat or something, right? The world is looking at the citizenry of the United States because our government has been hijacked by these war hawk maniacs who are ready to pull the trigger at any moment. And so what they want, what the world needs, is a strong American citizenry to wake up and wake up from its sleep so that we can be awoken to reason again and demand that Biden and our politicians not only end the war, but be held accountable for starting it. Because we're on the verge of a new paradigm. As like Helga Zepp-LaRouche likes to say, we can either enter a world where we can have new diplomatic peace talks and we can actually work with other countries. We don't have to treat them as enemies, or we can blow ourselves up. That's the choice presented between in the world right now. The old empire is dying, but the problem is they're suicidal maniacs, and they will blow up the world before they let anybody take over.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it better. And yeah, it's, I say this all the time on this channel. Jimmy Dore says it all the time on his channel. Jackson Hinkle says it all the time. Glenn Greenwald, Aaron Motte, and anyone who's independent understands that if you and I disagree on certain things, and I know that there are some viewers on the channel that we disagree, if we can align on class issues, working class issues, I can't pay my rent, I can't pay my mortgage, my gas bill, my power bill, my electric bill, my car payment is too high, our interest rates are too high, they're killing us. If we align on those issues, we can align on this one issue of peace. Stop wasting my goddamn tax dollars on your war. That's the one thing we can do. If we do that, we can form that powerful citizenry that the world is looking for, the international community is looking for, to make our politicians bend to our will. It's not easy, but you have to stop hating your neighbor. Stop hating your neighbor if they're a Trumper. Stop hating your neighbor if they're a left-winger, if they're a Biden voter, if they're whatever. As long as you can talk sense into them and they agree with you on class issues, let's align, because that's exactly right. We got the old empire is dying. Our currency is going down. Iran and Saudi Arabia just renewed ties. Okay? So everyone else is getting along and we're just going down as an empire. But we got a bunch of maniacs, like he just said, willing to blow everything up and start a couple nuclear wars just because they want full economic control. They want full control of you. They want full power. They want full money. That's all they want.
That is the problem. The problem is that the people who want economic control and hegemony are not letting go, and that's why they're willing to start 2 nuclear wars at once. That's why they're doing this in Ukraine. That's why they blew up the Nord Stream pipeline. That's why they're willing to put a hurt on their own people in the United States and in Europe to fight an economic war that only a handful of billionaires are going to benefit from anyway. That's what this is all about. It's what it's always about.
Yeah, this is an economic war. Not because, we need to help everybody else, but because, a bunch of billionaires and Joe Biden and Volodymyr Zelensky and Vladimir Putin are all going to make money off of this war. You and I aren't going to make money. They're not going to fix our bridges, our tunnels, our infrastructure. They're not going to, our infrastructure. They're not going to give us free college, healthcare, student debt relief, anything like that. Whatever you think of student debt relief, we can talk about it. They just don't. It's incredible. They don't care about that. They're gonna be rich. And he's right. That's why they blew up the Nord Stream pipeline. And Biden says, "I didn't do it." And they blamed it on Putin. Why would they sabotage their own income? They supply Europe 40% of Europe's gas and energy. Why would they be like, I'm tired of making money from Europe. Let's blow up our own pipeline. That's absolutely stupid. And that's why they want to start a war. They want to continue this war in Ukraine. They want to start a war in China. They want to start a war with every other country they can, because it's all about, we want to be on top. We don't want to let go. Nobody wants us, but we don't want to end. We don't want to let go and just go off into the sunset. That's what it's always been about. That's what it'll always be about until we stand up and do something about it.